The rain had been falling for hours, turning the city streets into mirrors of broken light, when Daniel closed the door of the small cafe where he worked the evening shift. His shoulders ached, his hands smelled of coffee and soap, and his mind was already drifting toward his 8-year-old daughter sleeping at home with a neighbor. Being a single father meant every day was a careful balance between earning enough and being present enough, and tonight had been no different. As he stepped into the rain with his worn jacket and a simple black umbrella, he told himself to hurry. Then he heard a soft sound, something between a sob and a gasp, and stopped. Near the curb, half hidden by the rain and the glare of streetlights, a young woman sat on the wet ground. Her hair was soaked, clinging to her pale face, and her coat lay uselessly over her shoulders as if it had slipped there by accident. She looked dazed, exhausted, and completely alone. People passed by in cars, tires hissing through puddles, but no one slowed. Daniel hesitated for only a second before moving toward her, kneeling down despite the cold water soaking through his pants. He raised the umbrella over her head, shielding her from the worst of the rain, and spoke gently, as if his voice itself could warm her. "Are you hurt?" he asked. She looked up at him, startled, her eyes wide and shining with tears. "I don't think so," she whispered, though her voice trembled. I couldn't keep walking." Her name was Emily, she said, and everything in her life seemed to have fallen apart within a single week. A job offer she had trusted had disappeared without explanation. A friend she thought she could rely on had asked her to leave. Tonight, after hours of walking in the rain, her legs had finally given out. As she spoke, Daniel listened without interrupting, holding the umbrella steady, his free hand hovering near her shoulder in case she slipped again. Daniel knew something about falling and not knowing how to stand back up. 3 years earlier, his wife had died suddenly, leaving him with a grieving heart and a child who needed him to be strong when he felt anything but. He had learned, slowly and painfully, that kindness did not require having much, only the willingness to stop. Looking at Emily, shivering on the pavement, he saw not a stranger but a human being in need, and that was enough. He offered her his coat and helped her to her feet, guiding her carefully toward the cafe he had just locked. The cafe was small and quiet now, the chairs stacked and the lights dim, but Daniel unlocked the door and led her inside. He found a towel, made her a cup of hot tea, and gave her space to breathe. The warmth brought color back to her face, and as the rain drummed against the windows, something inside her loosened. She told him more about herself. About her dreams of starting over in a new city, about how proud she had been to take a risk, and how frightening it felt to fail so suddenly. Daniel didn't offer solutions, he offered understanding, and that was exactly what she needed. When the rain finally softened, Daniel called a taxi and paid the fare himself, insisting despite her protests. Before she left, Emily looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. "You didn't have to do any of this," she said quietly. Daniel smiled, tired but sincere. "Sometimes," he replied, "we all need someone to hold the umbrella for a moment." She wrote her number on a scrap of paper, just in case, and disappeared into the night, leaving behind a silence that felt strangely hopeful. Days passed. Daniel returned to his routine, early mornings, long shifts, bedtime stories with his daughter, but he thought of Emily often, wondering if she was safe, if she had found her footing again. Then, one afternoon, a letter arrived at the cafe addressed to him by name. Inside was a simple card thanking him for his kindness, along with a short note saying she had found temporary work and a place to stay. At the bottom, she wrote, "You reminded me that the world isn't as cold as it seems." Weeks later, on a bright morning washed clean by the memory of rain, Emily walked into the cafe, looking stronger, steadier, and smiling. She ordered a coffee and waited until Daniel noticed her. For a moment, neither of them spoke, they simply smiled, sharing the quiet understanding of two lives briefly, meaningfully connected. What began as a stranger's act of kindness had become something lasting, not a grand romance or a dramatic rescue, but a reminder that even in the hardest storms, a single moment of compassion can change everything.